Douglas. Don't forget that we have a couple of fundraisers going on to support the Sylacauga Animal Shelter through Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill. We have our cheesecake sale, and that is you got to have your orders in by February 7th, and you've got 4 different kinds of cheesecakes. You got a sampler. You can also order chocolate covered strawberries, and the proceeds from the sales will go toward all of the supplies and needs of Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill, which, like I said, supports the Sylacauga Animal Shelter. We also have, coming up soon, you'll start seeing them in local stores February 1st. We're starting the I Helped a Shelter Dog campaign. And that is where you can donate money. You can donate $1 or however much money you'd like to donate. And that is to help give heartworm treatment to several of the dogs at the Sylacauga shelter. So make sure to watch as you're going into the local businesses to see if you have a chance to donate some money toward that cause also. And in addition to that, we're also still walking dogs every Saturday at the Sylacauga Animal Shelter. So make sure that if you have some time, you want to get some exercise and you want to make a Shelter Dogs Day, coming out to the shelter at 11 o'clock each Saturday. We're there walking the dogs. And the shelter's where I met our next guest. We have Meredith Dempsey. She's the owner of For the Love of Dog, and she is someone who has helped us quite a bit with some dogs at the shelter. So Meredith, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about who you are before we get to specifics of the dogs.
Yeah, so my name is Meredith Dempsey. I'm a canine certified behavior consultant. And so you can think of that as like a glorified dog therapist, if you will. So I work with humans and their pet dogs on solving behavioral issues in addition to basic obedience things. I also offer boarding services for clients, and I do board and train as well as doing in-home training for clients.
Okay, now how did you get into the behavioral consultations and the boarding and training?
That's a good question. So it all started with my first dog I ever had named Kobe. He had behavioral issues when I was about 20 in undergrad school, and dog training was so expensive that I just said, hey, I'll learn how to do it myself. And so at 20 years old, I started researching and learning more about dog training and behavior. And then fast forward 5 years, I'm managing a doggy daycare in Athens, Georgia, out of grad school. And then I moved to Birmingham, Alabama, and I start working with my local humane society there. And then I get my dog training certifications and start my own business.
Now, what does it take to get those certifications?
That's a good question. So you have to get 300 hours of hands-on service before you can even apply to take a 300-question exam.
Okay.
And after you take the exam, if you pass, you get that certification. And every 3 years, you have to renew your certification by doing continuing education.
Okay. Now, do you have any stories that stand out with some of the dogs that you've worked with over the years?
There are so many stories. I think some of the stories that highlight in my mind are ones where I have clients that are so relieved to have a professional let them know that their dog is not as bad as they thought they were. Or I like to look at it as me showing the client that their dog has potential that maybe they never saw before. I've had dogs left in people's wills to me, which means a lot. I've had clients cry to me, thank me. Most of my clients have become good friends actually, because like I said before, it's part of being a canine behavior consultant. It's like being a therapist. And so that's a very emotional conversation that I have a lot of the time, and a very sensitive one, very vulnerable one. And so I don't just bond with the dogs, I bond with the people that own the dogs as well.
Absolutely.
And so those clients that have really kind of shown that are ones that really stand out in my mind.
And that's so great that you're doing this work and that people are utilizing you, because sometimes it just takes the right kind of training to make a dog perfect for your household.
Yes.
And that's what needs to be done.
Yeah. What I've found a lot is, my job as a dog trainer is, yes, learning how to work with a dog, but it's also learning how to talk to people about dogs. And a lot of people in the pet industries, they're great with animals, but they struggle talking with people. And so my people skills have grown a lot for the sake of me continuing to become better with my dog skills. And that's something that I've really enjoyed growing in as I've continued down with this profession.
Okay. Did you ever imagine your life would go in this direction with
No.
your?
No, I have a master's degree in entomology, which is the study of insects, and a bachelor's degree in plant science. So I wanted to become an extension agent.
Okay.
And that didn't happen for me, and so I just followed my calling for dogs and my passion for dogs, and it's just led me here.
Good.
And every day at my job, I feel like I don't really have a job because I enjoy it so much. And I think back to me as a child, 5-year-old me dreaming of what an ideal life would be, and it's me surrounded by a bunch of dogs every day outside, and that's what I get to do. So I got to check off that box, that dream. So I'm very happy and I'm very fortunate that I'm doing what I'm doing. So I enjoy it every day.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now tell us how we can get in touch with you if someone needs training, because where are you located?
I am located in Alabaster.
Okay, and but you do in-home training.
I do.
And you come to Sylacauga, so
yes.
what has to happen for someone to get help and get your services?
So I like to be very accessible to people. So on my website, you'll find my email address and my personal cell phone number.
Okay.
You can text or call me, email me. That's the best way to get in touch with me. And I am able to, yes, drive to clients' homes. So anywhere in the Birmingham area, Sylacauga area, yes. And I can also go to your house, pick up your dog, and bring them back to me to train if you prefer that.
Okay. Now, like I said initially, I met you at the shelter.
Yes.
You have done a lot of work with some of our wonderful dogs there at the shelter. How did that even come about? How did you end up with some Sylacauga dogs from the shelter coming to your house?
That's such a good question. So my love is shelter dogs. I've fostered dogs for the past 10 years of my life. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. I really am always rooting for the underdog and the dogs that aren't wanted anymore. And so I wanted to incorporate the ability for my facility to help these shelter dogs because I was set up to do it more than I ever could before. And so I reached out to the public to see if they would sponsor a dog stay with me. So normally a night of boarding is $45 for shelter dogs. It's heavily discounted. It's $15 a night.
Okay.
And so members of the public can donate that $15 a night to a dog stay. And so people have donated up to a month's worth of a dog stay with me, and it's just a huge thing for the emotional health of that dog to be able to get a break from living in a shelter.
Absolutely.
To coming to my place where they get more one-on-one attention, they get to play with dogs, they get to have more of a normal life. And so it's such a great reprieve from being in that more confined shelter environment.
And what we're seeing from the rescue side is how much information it gives us,
Yes.
because if we can get that information to potential adopters,
Yes.
then we know how that dog reacts with other dogs. How is that dog doing in a household? How does it
Correct.
react with other humans?
Correct.
So I've seen some amazing things with what you've done, and kind of
Yes.
watching your Facebook page and all your
Yes.
pictures and your videos.
Yes. And you know, I want to give credit to the dogs that I have there. So I have a group of 4 foster dogs that are with me until they get adopted, and they're mostly feral dogs. So they're dogs that are great with other dogs, but shy with people. And I have to give credit to those dogs for helping me show and display that a shelter dog is good with other dogs or not.
And
so,
we got a picture up of you right now. Are those two
Yeah.
of your dogs, the permanent foster dogs? Or
Yeah, so the one that is nuzzling my face, that is Blakely, and
Okay.
she's my foster dog with Bama Bully Rescue. She came from Shelby Humane. I've had her since April of last year.
Okay.
And then the one on the bottom corner, his name is Boof. He's a sponsor dog from Shelby Humane.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are 2 of my my facility dogs right there.
And your facility dogs are the ones that you claim as your own, correct? Or do you have
That's
your own dogs
a good question.
too?
I have so many different categories of dogs. So I recently adopted, for the Love of Dog, adopted their first company dog. Her name is Thelma.
Okay.
And she is a feral dog, and she is one of the best dogs I've ever seen at reading other dogs. And so I had to adopt her. She has shown that dogs that were labeled as being aggressive at shelters towards other dogs can be with other dogs. She's amazing.
Yeah.
So I have officially adopted her. All the other dogs that I use for dog-on-dog evaluations are dogs that I'm fostering for another organization.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Well, we've got some pictures of some of the Sylacauga dogs. This is Kit.
Yes.
And how did Kit do when she was with you? She's one of my favorites at the shelter.
Kit is so obsessed with human affection. That's all she wanted. She was good with the other dogs, but if she saw me, she would run right out of playgroup and zoom up to me and give me hugs. So she's a very affectionate dog. She's a very mature dog too, so she doesn't have any of those more annoying puppy behaviors. She's grown up. And she just really wants a person to claim as her own and a couch to snuggle up with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We had Miss Sylacauga and Miss Sylacauga's outstanding teen at the shelter helping us with videos.
Oh, cool.
And Kit just loved Miss Sylacauga and wanted to. I mean, she was just all over Elena. We couldn't even get a video because she was so happy to have some love from somebody. And even after a walk, she was still extremely excited.
She's very affectionate.
And then there's Clint.
Yes. Clint is a happy dog. He loves all the other dogs that he sees. He also loves people like as much as Kit does. He smiles when he gets excited, so he'll get really low and wag his tail and smile at you. He play. Oh my gosh, he's so fast. I remember looking out in playgroup after I was cleaning my kennel, and he's in the lead, just running circles around the yard with all the other dogs behind him. So yeah, he was a lot of fun to have too. He's also a very handsome dog.
He really is. He's so sweet and he is a handsome dog. He's strong and he does pretty good on a leash when we take him out for walks. He does great for a dog that hasn't really had formal training other than something that you would have done with him in boarding.
Yeah, because he's been there a while too.
He has. And then he's also there. Well, here's Rhonda. This is who we really need some help with right now. So tell us how Rhonda did with you.
Rhonda is another dog that loves human attention more than dog attention. She was just beside herself whenever someone would touch her, and you find that a lot with shelter dogs because they've been without normal human affection so much. She was just craving it. She has a front leg injury.
She does, that front paw, that right paw that she has up right there.
Yep, and it's an injury that's really difficult for her to recover from in the shelter environment. So she really needs a long-term foster home to recover from that. I imagine her in a home, snuggling up on the couch, watching Netflix with you, sleeping in bed with you every night, loving everyone and anyone that comes over.
She is that kind of dog too.
Right.
She's about a year and a half and she is just the sweetest dog.
Yeah.
But like you said, she loves humans so much that she is really pounding that injured paw on the fencing in her kennel and so it won't heal. So that's why we're desperately looking for a foster for her where she could lay on the couch with you and watch Netflix.
That's
and
all she
the
needs.
heel will I mean that paw will heal quite well in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
So, but I think we may have a couple of other pictures of some dogs that'll pop up. Well, there's McGraw.
Oh my gosh.
We have to talk about McGraw.
That dog is so handsome. So when I picked him up from Sylacauga, they said that he was one of the most energetic, wide open dogs that they had there. And so I was like, I'm ready for it. And I take him on the ride home, the hour-long drive home to Alabaster, and he just curls up in a ball in the passenger seat of my truck and falls asleep the whole time. And I'm like, you're not that bad. And then I take him home to my half-acre fenced-in backyard, and I open the gate, and wide open, he starts. And I was like, oh, I see it now. So I introduced him to Blakely first, my Bama Bully foster, and they love each other. They're constantly just zooming around the yard, wrestling with each other. He also is a dog that is crazy about loving people. He does not meet a stranger at all.
He doesn't. He loves, and he hugs.
He hugs.
He will hug you like crazy.
Yes, yes, and he's a good hugger. You know, sometimes dogs can hug you and really scratch you or knock you over, but he actually wants to hug.
He's a careful hugger.
He is a careful.
He really is. He's a
Yes,
very careful
that's a very
hugger.
good way to put it. Yeah. So he's a very sweet guy. He wants so badly to have a family of his own so that he can tell them how much he loves them every morning by giving them hugs like that. Yeah.
And he has that typical lab energy that I think of as lab energy. He loves
Yes.
to run and fetch.
Yes.
And then there's Tabitha. We'll do one more dog because we're doing more than one available pet of the week with you because you have so much information. But Tabitha's a dog that has my heart also.
Oh, Tabitha is my favorite of all the Sylacauga dogs, and she was, I believe, one of the first Sylacauga dogs that I ever took in, and she melted my heart because of how soft and sweet she is at first. So she's a little bit, at least outside of the shelter, she's a little bit more shy with people at first. So she's not going to run up to you and hug you. It takes about a minute or so for her to feel comfortable, and then she'll be really affectionate with you. She was one of my favorites because when I had her, I was training a dog named Brody, and he was very anxious in his kennel. And I said, he needs a friend, and he and Tabitha were great and played together. So to help Brody with his anxiety, Tabitha spent the night with him every night in his kennel, and Brody felt so much more comfortable because she was there.
Oh, that's great.
And it's so rare to have a dog like her that is so good with other dogs, so willing to share things, so willing to listen to other dogs and make them feel at ease. She reminds me a lot of the dog that my company adopted, Thelma, and I almost said that I would foster Tabitha long term as well to kind of use to help dogs that I came in to help with dog anxiety and stuff like that.
And as you've seen, we have so many great dogs at the shelter, and so we appreciate everything that Meredith has done to board and to train and to give us all of these dogs, give some information about them and to give them a home for a period of time so they can know that there's something out there for them. So if you're interested in any of these dogs, please contact the Sylacauga Animal Shelter. You can, if you have some questions, you can message the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill also. You can message me. I'd be happy to answer any questions because I'm out there walking the dogs. And we thank you so much. Well, if we can, we'll have you back on the show if you've got time because we've got more we wanted to talk to you about. Meredith's also an artist, and we didn't even get to talk about that.
I am, yes.
But we'll have you back on soon, and hopefully we'll have other Sylacauga dogs that we can talk about.
Sounds good.
Thanks again for everything that you've done, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome, and we'll have more Daybreak with Jimmy Dale after these commercials.